Good evening, everyone. Those joining us in the room and online to the regular meeting of the Bell School Board of Trustees for October 17th. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the Louis-Riel School Division brings together a community of schools on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, Minnewac, and Dakota. Our division is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis, and we recognize that Manitoba is also the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and Dene. We respect the treaties made on this land and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and present, and dedicate ourselves to authentic alliances with the community in a spirit of reconciliation and cooperation. Please know that it's my duty and responsibility to observe decorum at all times. We have in-person and verified attendees who will be invited to ask questions at the end of the meeting during our question period of anything that was on the agenda this evening. And if anybody listening in has questions that were not of items that were not on the agenda tonight, we invite you to engage by email at info@lrsd.net. Please also be aware that these meetings are recorded to ensure that the minutes are portrayed and published accurately. And we ask that you do not take photos or recordings unless you've received permission in advance. Our vision is for all members of our community to excel as caring, confident, capable, and resilient lifelong learners to a democratic and sustainable world. And our mission is to provide a safe, inclusive, and engaging environment where personal and collective learning are valued and each one of us reaches our full potential. First item is to approve the agenda for this evening. The recommendation is that the October 17th agenda for the regular board meeting be approved. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by trustee Semignola, second by trustee Guerrier. All those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you.
Not coming up.
Not coming up.
I lost the internet for a bit. It's bad.
So if you're not, try refreshing just in case. Art's on his way over to assist. In the interim,
Much better now. It was saying no internet here. So no internet access.
all right, the next item then is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 3rd. Those minutes were circulated in advance. I haven't received any changes to be made or edits, so we will receive those as they were circulated. Item 3, we have one action item this evening related to breach of code of conduct by a trustee. By way of explanation for those that are have not already been made aware of the circumstances around this. One of the responsibilities that trustees have on the Louis-Riel School Board is on an annual basis to sign a declaration of residency, an annual oath of confidentiality, and also a code of conduct and conflict of interest and performance declaration. All trustees, with the exception of trustee Champagne, did so at the beginning of September as required. As yet, we do not have those signed documents from trustee Champagne. Therefore, the motion is that trustee Champagne be suspended for a 1-month period without remuneration effective immediately for breaching the code of conduct, for failure to sign the board member annual declaration of residency, the board member annual oath of confidentiality, and the school board's annual code of conduct, conflict of interest, and performance declaration as outlined by section B, subsection 2B of the Louis-Riel School Division Board of Trustees procedural bylaws. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by trustee Turner, second by trustee Nordheim. We will not entertain any questions on this item. However, I will confirm that the board has had a conversation in camera and it remains private. I will call the question. All those in favor? Okay. Trustee Turner, second by trustee Nordheim.
No.
Okay, so you should be able to vote now. So I called all in favor. Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you. This takes us to news, first of all, provided by the board of trustees, and this evening I turn to Karen.
Thank you, trustee Nemeth. The secondary students in LRSD are now preparing for their anticipated 2024 spring musicals. They're in their pre-production stage, which is the planning stage of their theater production. This precedes the actual rehearsal process. The theater teams are in the script selection, casting, budgeting, set design, and prop sourcing stage. The importance of high school theater is for young people to discover their passion. High school theater gives them the opportunity to be creative. It allows them to not only to become someone else, but it gives them the chance to design a character's wardrobe, a backdrop, or even discover the importance of lighting. I was able to find out some of the upcoming productions. Windsor Park Collegiate will be performing one of my absolute favorites, Grease, and J.H. Bruns will be presenting Mamma Mia. You'll have to stay tuned for the rest of the production announcements. But further to that, I want to congratulate the J.H. Bruns Junior Varsity Boys Volleyball team for their third place finish at the Tech Voc tournament.
Very much. And news from senior leadership provided this evening by Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you. Perfect. And so tonight I'm excited to share with you that our community kitchen at the Rennie Farm Center is good to go. In fact, when we wrote this, we were waiting for the final health inspection, but I'm going to read to you a quick email from Chef Michael over at RD's Community Kitchen. It says, hello, everyone. I'm so very happy and excited to inform you all that we now have our health permit and we are officially cleared and ready to begin using our new professional commercial kitchen. May all your days be delicious ones. Let's get cooking. And so we can look for programming to start, hopefully in early November. I'd love to extend an invitation to all board members. If you would like to go for a tour and possibly lunch, then please let me know and then I can schedule that with Chef Michael. Another amazing program taking place at the Rennie DeLorme Center began in March 2023, the Fresh Food Box. So in this program, families pay $20 and receive approximately $40 worth of fruit, veggies, milk, and eggs. We also use some of the boxes for hampers to distribute directly to the community and support the food cupboard. We have since March 2023 distributed almost 699 fresh food boxes. 2 to 3 community members come in each week to help volunteer to pack up the boxes and to just distribute them to community. A big shout out to Dakota Collegiate. Their homecoming football game was September 28th. They had a wonderful result in their game against Big Falls.
Yes.
And Kelvin, sorry, I'm getting my games confused. The band and the cheer team helped support the team in the school. There were lots of fireworks during the game. And the fans flooded the field after the game. It was a great celebration for the players and fans to celebrate a winning team. I think the biggest takeaway that was shared was an increased sense of connection to the school and increased school spirit. It was great for the players to feel the support of the entire school. They estimated that 1,000 people attended the event. At Darwin School, the K-4 pod system is up and running and students are enjoying their adventures learning outside and off-site. There are 10 pods in K-4 with 10 students in each, ranging from kindergarten through grade 4. The pod system is led by classroom teachers, specialists, and student services and school administration. Their introduction to land-based learning has taken place as they venture out to Bishop Brandon Greenway, Greendale Park, St. Park, and the Minnetonka Forest. Over at Nordale, thanks to the SKIP grant money they received last May and early June, they installed a Lego wall in their library. And so students coming in for their library classes have a chance to build on the wall. On October 14th, the Parent Association over at Nordale organized an event to clean, prune, and prepare the playground for the next phase. And so there's some wonderful pictures of the playground rejuvenation going on at Nordale. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Always lots going on. Item 5, under committee reports, is an ad hoc, formation of an ad hoc negotiations committee. Negotiations beginning with rules and we need to appoint an ad hoc committee in order to have board representation in this conversation. So the recommendation is that the establishment of an ad hoc negotiations committee for the 2023-2024 school year be approved, and that trustee Nordheim and trustee Gary will be members of the ad hoc negotiations committee. I need a mover and a second. Yes, please. Semignola and seconds. Trustee Kolachek, thank you. Sorry. Any questions on this one? Seeing that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you. And thank you very much to the two of you for making that commitment. Board Education, the annual report to the community. This is where we will moments and have a bit of a conversation and dig a little bit to our and I will turn this into the superintendent.
Right, so we will focus on a couple of stories in the arc. If memory serves me well, we when we talked last time we were together, we wanted to focus on languages. Someone mentioned the story about languages, so why don't we start there? I believe it was trustee Sigurdsson. Language is Alive on page 34. Yeah. And so we highlighted for the community that the language team, the Indigenous language team last year was comprised of 8 individuals. So that's incredible to see the growth of that team since 2016. And that this language team was supporting teachers and children in 25 of our 30 elementary schools, in 50 kindergarten classrooms, and 65 grades 1 and 2 classrooms. And each person on this team teaches approximately 18 classrooms. So that's, again, something to celebrate, something that is amazing that we have been nurturing, building over the course of just a few short years. And we have an ambitious strategic action in our strategic plan to, by June of 2027, have all students in all classrooms, from kindergarten to grade 3, learning languages in the ways we describe in these 2 pages. And it was described to us at our leadership retreat last week. Yesterday, Assistant Superintendent Cormack was sharing how powerful the sharing was for her and others last Thursday. Members of this team joined us being senior leadership, principals and vice principals, on the land at the forts, and share their story. Did you want to highlight for folks what
Sure.
Thursday was like?
So we were out at the Forks and had the opportunity to learn both in Anishinaabe, Moan, and Cree. So we have both of those languages being taught in our schools. And so we got to experience some of the lessons that our students in KN1 experience, and played some of their the games that they played out on the land. And I share with you that we have a very committed language team, many of them on their own journeys of reclaiming their language, and it was very powerful. So I'm very optimistic that we will indeed get to we have 4 schools left that are currently not receiving instruction. And so it will be a big commitment to move forward, but I'm confident that we will get there in these next 4 years.
And tell us about the newest members that are going to team. I had lunch. No, I had breakfast with one of them on Thursday.
So we have 3 new members. You're testing my memory now. So we have Cub, Ria, and
Sorry.
that's okay. And I believe the final gentleman's name, Bonnie. And so each of them come to us from different places and are in different places in terms of their language. One is a very experienced teacher that is jumped right in. One is someone who creates YouTube videos currently and is a cartoon, does a lot of work bringing Indigenous understanding and pedagogy to that field. And so he will be amazing. And then Ria is very excited just to be with the team. You may see a posting out right now. We have had one of our young instructors who's taken a job back in her home community, which we see as a celebration. And so she has learned a lot of great skills with us and now is going on again to better things and to move to support her home community. So we're sad to see IROC leave, but we know that she's going to do good work and hopefully create a strong relationship between her home community and us as well. So lots of good things happening.
And I don't know if you caught that, but there's that gender diversity as well on this early years team that I love. I'm so excited to see.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions?
That's good.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Also, good to see obviously that there's progress being made there. And this is available to any student, or is it?
It's for all students in KN1, as I said, we have 4 schools that we haven't quite got to yet.
Oh,
We need to extend and grow that team
okay, so,
in order to get to all of our schools.
so there's no signing up or any kind of.
No, everyone in KN1 has the experience. So the instructor goes in and teaches side by side with a classroom teacher. And is there 2 30-minute periods a cycle?
Trustee Carrier?
I think this is a great program. Is there any opportunity for the teachers to take any instruction in the language, or is there a plan sometime for that to happen?
The teachers are encouraged to be a part of and join in. And in fact, many of them, I guess what we could say is that we have identified teacher leaders in each of the schools who have really taken the language programming and continue to work on it outside of those 2 30-minute periods. And so we've seen it certainly grow and expand, and certainly we're seeing the language evident at other grade levels as the interest from students grow. I'll just add that we're offering culture and language classes at 2 of our high schools this year, at Dakota and at Nelson McIntyre. The course at Dakota, 50 students signed up. It's one course, so clearly the interest is there. We weren't able to accommodate all 50 in one class, obviously, but we're certainly working towards expanding.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
And again, if you want to see a language class in action, just reach out. I'm happy to set that up for you.
All right, I'll make a note of that and we.
That would be great.
Something up, but we did a few years ago. I remember going to Sage Creek. I can't remember who was there, but it was lots of fun. Yeah, the kids are.
We can get
kids
that
were
going.
great, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this one? Wait, seeing none, that takes us to finance and audit. The
Oh,
first,
you didn't want one more story?
oh, one story.
Thanks. Let's do one more.
Okay,
Or we'll be talking about the ARC while we publish a new ARC next.
especially if I don't let you talk about the art, right?
So one more, Bridging the Gap, page 38. And the reason I want to bring this one to your attention is that last Friday evening, I had the pleasure of having dinner with Brandy, who's on the page, who's featured on these 2 pages. One of our most recent KTEP graduates. So I had the pleasure of celebrating her graduation with her family on Friday evening. And it's just, again, wonderful to see that our relationship to the University of Winnipeg, we weren't one of the founding school divisions. So we're just so grateful that the University of Winnipeg, the Winnipeg School Division, and the Seven Oaks School Divisions, which were the founding school divisions of this alongside Winnipeg's, the University of Winnipeg, have welcomed us into the community. That is KTEP. and that we are now graduating students through this program. And so what this is an opportunity for someone like Brandy, who is a mother, who started working with us as an educational assistant, is supported through a journey of learning to become a teacher at university. And once graduated, is a teacher in our schools. So she's started her teaching career at Marion School this year. It's a wonderful celebration, and it's beautiful to see that it is evolving and growing in LRSD.
Questions about Keita? Seeing none?
All right.
Very much. Finance and audits, turning to the Secretary Treasurer for context on promissory note.
Thank you very much. The division has been issued another promissory note in the amount of $12,043,300. This relates entirely to our new École CHP Bonavista Vista in school. And this is to help support expenditures for our tender package 1, which is foundation and steel.
So the proposed motion is that the promissory note LTPS 0669, as it is deemed necessary and expedient to raise by loan the sum of $12,043,300 on the credit of the Louisville School Division for the purpose of financing capital projects be approved. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Trustee Kolachek seconds. Trustee Turner, thank you. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we've gone through one of these promissory notes in the past, but maybe I just haven't understood how the interest works. Is this interest just fixed and in 2040 it's still gonna be 5.7%?
Correct.
Well, okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Second item is capital reserves.
Thank you very much. So on this year, I am requesting $450,000 to be set aside for our bus reserves. So on an annual basis, we purchase 3 new buses to help replenish our bus fleet. And so these dollars, which are from our surplus, are specifically designated to purchase those buses. So I'm requesting $450,000 for the current year.
So the recommendation is that the board approve the transfer subject to approval by the Public Schools Finance Board of $450,000 to the bus reserve. Seconder, please, by Trustee Guerrier, second by Trustee Palmquist. Questions on this item? Trustee Palmquist.
What happens to surplus buses, or is this just like a formula where there's typically a breakdown or out of service or end of service life of 3 on average per year?
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, the way that we've historically purchased buses, exactly what you suggested, we sell and it goes to auction the 3 buses and we replenish with 3 new ones when.
Other questions? Something just occurred to me, so we sell them at auction, and if that money comes back to us to offset for bus purchases? Is that
Exactly.
how that works?
Yeah, so the funds that we receive also from the sale of the bus purchases also goes into that bus reserve for future purchases. And so you'll notice when we look at our next audited financial statements, additions from sale of buses in that reserve.
And what is the cost of a bus? these days?
So cost of a bus, we always typically purchase 3 buses, and last year it was $482,000 for 3 buses. So you divide that by 3.
Yeah. Helps. Okay. Where did we leave off? We have a mover and a seconder. Oh, trustee Conference question?
For the not urgently, for the long run, I was reading recently some talk of a burgeoning electric school bus industry. Is that something that would be, are you familiar with those products on the market at all?
Yep.
For the future,
Calling for electrifying our bus fleet for some time.
really?
Eventually, we'll come around to it.
Yeah.
We'll start with solar panels at Collège Jean Sauvé. I'm looking forward to getting on the rooftop with you, to show you the array of solar panels. Yeah, new addition to Collège Jean Sauvé.
Well, great. I love to learn more about that in the future.
Look at pictures. Don't need to go on a roof.
Well, an electric school bus for LRSD, a wonderful thing.
Any other questions on this one? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 7.3 is a carry forward report.
Thank you. So I'm requesting of the board for $614,983. What this is to fulfill commitments and were performed at the end of our school year that hasn't been paid yet. So carry forwards the concept is essentially a timing difference between when we've issued budgets and when the work is performed. So right now, like I said, at year end, we had $614,983 of commitments. In addition to that, there's also dollars that we've received through grants that haven't been fully spent yet. So that's included in the $614,983.
So the recommendation then is that the board approve the carry forward report as has been provided. We're going to second. By trustee Semignola, second by trustee Turner. Thank you. Any questions on this one? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you. That brings us to staffing. We have one item, which is a posting for us, an assistant superintendent. We'll turn that superintendent.
Wanted to bring to the community's attention that we have with Assistant Superintendent Murray's retirement posted for a vacancy, and that posting will close on Friday. And next week, the chair and myself will interview candidates and bring a recommendation to the board at its first meeting in November, so that we can have a transition between the successful candidate and Assistant Superintendent Murray through the months of November and December.
Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, looking forward to those conversations next week. That takes us to chair information to the board. Just one item that I wanted to, well, two, I guess. The first one, of course, as I know, we all share in congratulating those folks that were elected, re-elected or elected to serve as MLAs in the province of Manitoba. Tomorrow morning, with the swearing in of Cap, we'll learn who our new education minister is and deputy minister, and certainly look forward to engaging in conversation with them as needed, but also inviting the new MLAs to meet the board and the senior team once they get settled, and share with them some of the great work that's going on in the school division and some of the things that we need to move along, and where hopefully they can perhaps light a fire under a process that can sometimes take a little bit longer than like. So I did wanted to share with you a trip that I took to Ottawa with the rest of the executive of the Canadian School Boards Association, the presidents and executive directors of all the national or of the provincial associations met for meetings, but also for 2 days of focused advocacy work, whereby had opportunities to speak with MPs and some senators and other influentials on the Hill and talk to them about some of the things that are impacting school boards, school divisions across the country. So one of the big topics that we brought forward was the need for a national nutrition program. Lots of conversation related to the effects of poverty and of course, all the implications that has for healthy minds, healthy bodies and student success and a number of other things. And I will encourage you to look at the Canadian School Boards Association website. There's information there that provides a little bit more information on what those 2 days looked like, but it was a very interesting couple of days. I always appreciate the perspective that I leave with from other jurisdictions, what they're navigating, and also some ideas on conversations that we can be having. So wanted to share that with you and encourage you to dig into the CSBA website a little bit just to see what is happening at a national level. That takes us to senior leadership team information to the board. The first one is related to the Guarding Minds survey, Guarding Minds at Work staff survey. Through the superintendent to assistant superintendent Hall on this one.
So one of the priorities under our multi-year strategic plan speaks to creating a comprehensive workplace safety and health program. And one of the ways that we're hoping to achieve that is determine a baseline amongst the employees in the division that speaks to their wellness in the workplace. And so Guarding Minds at Work is the tool that we intend to use to create this baseline that will help inform our next steps. It's a survey tool that is implemented through the support of EdCan. It's housed or hosted through the Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety, which helps ensure the confidentiality of this particular survey. One of the aspects of it, it does provide us with an opportunity to create some segmentation questions. And so this will help build on the ethnocultural survey that we've had as a division in terms of being able to better identify who works in our division. Are there particular trends in terms of the experiences in the workplace or wellness in the workplace with various groups? And so we have started with an exploration of this product. We've had several meetings with the Well at Work group that will help us roll out the Guarding Minds survey. And our intention is to meet with the union groups to share some information with them to help inform our rollout. And so again, this is intended as a baseline of information. The intention would be to repeat the survey as different initiatives are in place. And largely coming out of some of the feedback from our meetings with the union groups, a lot of conversation around the table, the Workplace Safety and Health Committee about psychological trauma and wellness in the workplace are some of the contributing factors that have led to us pursuing this as a means of, again, developing a baseline as to what are the experiences of our employees in the division and to help inform our practice moving forward.
Trustees, any questions on this? Trustee Nordheim?
CMHA has been involved in working with divisions that have used Guarding Minds. And they also have an audit tool that's much more compact, but have moved forward in developing responses to the feedback from the surveys. So just in terms of next steps, that is something that CMHA and the Care for All in Education is quite familiar with. So there might be a tool.
Yeah, one of the things that will be included in the report that Well at Work will provide will be some concrete recommendations that are built upon the ongoing work they've been doing with CMHA.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Seminole?
Do we have a timing on when this will go out?
I think our intention is to try to roll it out. Like that's part of the feedback that we'd like to get from the union reps, just in terms of timing of things. I think when we're looking at timing right now, going into the month of November is a very busy time of year with reporting and report cards, which can be a very high stress time in school. So we had hoped for a fall launch, but we might be looking at beginning of the year.
Oh, no, thanks. That's why I asked, well, so far launch day, I'm like, we're kind of approaching the end of October, so I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Moving on, leadership team retreats that was held last.
Yes, well, just quick highlights. You have the slide deck. We've been over 2 days. On the Wednesday, we had our grandmother Chickadee and a future grandmother, Hilda Kent, share their teachings specific to the medicine wheel and the 4 directions represented in the Anishinaabe medicine wheel. And so you have a representation of that medicine wheel slide that you're sharing. This will be our new visual in the publications we're going to build around the multi-year strategic plan. And this was designed by the Indigenous artist that we've been working with. Helped with design Jeremy Hunt, Joshua Hunt, thanks Darcy, who's designed our orange t-shirt and has designed other graphic elements we've used. And we then focused as a family of schools on bringing to life the multi-year strategic plan. And then school teams focused on those 4 essential questions I've talked about related to the MYSP, and also coming up with an overarching question for 2024. More communication about that, and an invitation to all staff who contribute to the creation of that overarching question. And on Thursday, I touched on it earlier in the meeting, we gave folks opportunity to choose different learning activities. And in the afternoon, we made the connection between the multi-year strategic plan and Amatawiswin, the Indigenous policy framework from the Manitoba government.
Is any question on this? Trustee Nordheim and I were there for breakfast Wednesday morning, and it's really nice to be among the leaders in the school division, but also lots of energy in the room. And I think it was a long couple of days of learning and networking, engaging and talking. But from what I gather, conversation on Monday night, it was just ongoing talk. So it's nice, and I'm pleased to see the work proceeding, and everybody's so engaged in it. So great. That takes us then to a message regarding the Israeli-Palestine conflict.
I just wanted to share a thought about the message that was shared last week. I struggled as an individual in writing this message alone. I was supported by the senior leadership team in putting together a message that eventually made its way to the community in relationship to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So it's a message coming from the senior leadership team, or some of the members on the senior team. When putting together a message that speaks to the horror of conflict impacting both Israelis and Palestinians, it is challenging to find a way to put forward a message that is balanced and compassionate for everyone. And it is inevitably, it's just one message. And so incomplete and imperfect. I've had parents in the community and colleagues in our schools reach out to both express support for the message and disappointment in the message. And I'm just grateful that whether it's a message of support or disappointment, I'm encouraged that people are reaching out. And I've invited all those who've reached out to continue the conversation with me and members of the team as we continue to navigate conflict. And other conflicts that impact others in the world that we don't pay any attention. That's also a problem. So we'll continue together to navigate the challenges facing us all. And navigate towards a better future, better world together.
It certainly goes without saying that our thoughts are with everybody who's been impacted by the war, any war. It's inevitably reaches around the world, and certainly can't be unaware of how families and students and community members struggle sometimes with not knowing how well their families are doing, or having to navigate of journey or death. So I think the message is important, and the fact that, as you said, people are reaching out is part of that journey, part of having conversations that help us all understand something. Item 10.4 is accessibility plan updates through superintendent to assistant superintendent.
A few quick updates. On our public facing website, you see a spotlight story about our accessibility community consultation that took place in May. And so at that evening, we had about 45 people who participated. Some of the hot topics discussed were updates to washrooms, change rooms, playgrounds, transportation and elevators, as well as technology, staffing, educational assistants, substitute teachers, transitions, ongoing communication, parental involvement, easy assessments, and interventions. And so as the accessibility committee continues to meet this year, we have our first meeting tomorrow. Then these are topics that we will bring forward for further discussion. A reminder that our accessibility plan is on our public facing website. The plan was updated in January 2023, and I will continue to update it throughout the year, although it doesn't have to be formally updated until 2024, January 2024. So I'll draw your attention to a few things that Amberbeer has provided some information in the section that outlines some of the projects around accessibility. See that at Dr. Penner's School and Frontenac School, universal change rooms are now in place. At Marion School, an elevator ramp, automated door opener, and universal change room have been added. And at Laverly and at Windsor Park Collegiate, universal change rooms are in progress. And so we'll continue to update those as work happens.
Thank you. Any questions on these updates? Right, that takes us to communications methods specific to social media and some MailChimp things.
That time of the month, we'll have a high level update on communications. It's interesting, I had a conversation with Metro Superintendent this morning about these platforms, these social media platforms, and just how problematic communications on these platforms is. And a reminder that these platforms essentially are advertising platforms, acting as communications platforms. And the algorithms to get the ads in front of our eyes are not healthy algorithms at all. And we just have to remind ourselves of that. So the most powerful communications we all agreed on were those direct communications with families, those MailChimp, in our case, we leverage MailChimp, it might be something else. But it's that direct communication we have with staff and families. And the metrics we also have relative to those communications, just how deeply people are engaging.
Any questions on these? Singleton?
Are we looking at getting on Threads at any point?
So the talk this morning was about some school divisions off of X, or moving away from X, moving to Threads. But again, some of us, I did and others did. I reminded us all that whether it's Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads, whatever's right now, nothing's changed. The model's the same. Advertising, what it is. And it's there should be privacy concerns. There clearly are concerns around how they are able to hold captive your attention and how the algorithms are geared towards the most destructive, hateful, salacious communication, and how it is a mess. And it's why you have as one of your strategic action an information literacy continuum being developed in LRSD, grades K to 12, implemented in our classrooms because we don't have it as a curriculum in our schools.
I'm not saying abandon X, but have a lot of people have, a lot of organizations have on each,
Yeah, that's right.
and then they can have.
Yeah.
Reach,
So we haven't talked about Threads
reach
yet.
more people, and in the event that X does implode, then you already have a footprint somewhere.
Yeah, we haven't talked about moving to or another platform.
Any, so again, any other questions about these tools? Okay, there are a couple of policy items for us to tackle. Turning to Assistant Superintendent Cormack for.
I'm very pleased to bring forward for third reading policy GBA employment practices, diversity and inclusion. I'm just going to do a quick retrospective to remind us how we got here. So it was in March 2022 that Michelle and I put forward an invitation to staff and community across the division to come together to consider an equity policy around employment. And so we established a group that included employees from a variety of our employee groups, as well as students and parents in our community. And we met throughout 2022 and established, we started off by looking at employment policies across Canada and internationally. And really then worked to understand how policies are created and what was important to us here in LRSD. And so it was in June 21st, 2022 that we brought forward a policy for first reading. Tonight, I bring forward both the policy GBA for third reading as well as the administrative protocol. And so you see both in your board package there. We've taken some time with the administrative protocol to align it with our multi-year strategic plan, understanding that these are bold actions that we are suggesting and taking, and that it will take time to implement them. And so we don't want to rush into anything, and we also don't want to mislead people. It will take 4 years to implement what we are putting forth. And so we have begun the work to create a flow chart identifying roles and responsibilities and leads for actions that you see in the.
So the recommendation then is that the following list of policies and supporting administrative protocol reviewed by the policy review receive third reading and finally adopted. That is policy GBA, employment practices, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the administrative protocols. And seconder for this, please, Trustee Polachek, second Trustee Sigurdson. Any questions on this? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Dean Nordheim, you raised your, oh, there we go, thank you. And the motion is carried, thank you. Item 11.2 to Assistant Superintendent Anderson.
Yes, thank you. Trustees, you will recall given third reading to policy JBC, appropriate educational programming, provision of in-school support to students by external practitioners at the March 7th, 2023 meeting. As this policy has been implemented this fall, we have received additional feedback to improve clarity. The revisions presented for your consideration this evening are based on this feedback, as is the recently developed agreement that will support situations where external service providers deliver programming in schools.
So the recommendation then is that the following policy and form be amended, that CJBC, appropriate educational programming, provision of in-school supports to students by practitioners, and policy JBC third-party service form, or policy JBC third-party service provider form. Over in seconder, please, Trustee Garrier. Seconds, Trustee Kolachek. Any questions on this item? Trustee Garrier.
Jeff, I really think this was an important policy to be firmed up because there were so many outside agencies coming in, and I think that what you've done is you covered almost everything. I was trying to think if there was any other area that wasn't covered, but the space, the following the Manitoba curriculum, the working with the student services teams. I think this really will make a huge difference in the outside agencies coming into our schools. And so good on you.
Thank you for that feedback, and certainly the collaboration between the external service provider and the school team to support student learning is key, and incorporating that exchange of information so that programs are aligned. Student service and coordinated service is very important.
Trustee Simonyola.
Yeah, I agree with Darlene as well, but also I've seen some changes here where I guess responsibilities or power, for lack of a better category, has been shifted where you see principal, it's saying division, where you used to say a school, it's saying it's changed here and shifted a bit. I see authorized, number 6 authorizing the school, but it's saying the division to communicate. So I like that change and clarity.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. That takes us to correspondence. Correspondence that has been received by Manitoba Education and Early Childhood Learning. Any comments on either of those? Sorry, and the Education Funding Branch, and then general correspondence. There is also a correspondence that has been sent out. And then correspondence received from the Manitoba School Boards Association. Under that, you will see a number of opportunities for professional learning. So the Mama-Tuwissowin Symposium is something that is open to trustees. If you're interested, I would encourage you to take a look at the agenda. It's 2 days. And certainly something that you could, professional learning that you would be supported in. And also a reminder on the fall general meetings that are coming up. There. So seeing no questions on these, we will receive this correspondence and archive it accordingly. That takes the public question period. So an opportunity for our verified attendance to ask questions. We'll start with Jay, who's in the room. Any questions for us tonight? All good?
Thanks very much.
And Charlene, Derek, and Jacqueline that are online, any questions for us this evening? See, there's something in the chat. Is that,
That's just it.
that's the agenda? Okay, yeah. I see no hands raised, so I am taking that to mean no questions. That adjourns our meeting. I wish everybody a good evening. Thank you very much.